Every week, it's my goal to share financial information that helps you in both your life and financial vineyard. We hope it takes you from your roots to the journey of your vines and the influences in the air that helped craft your delicious life. Like wine, life and finances have different palates that should be celebrated and not judged. Welcome to this edition of Wine and Dine with Amy Irvine. I have a special winery that I'd like to draw some attention to today. I know you guys are very used to me talking about New York wineries, but this time I'm going to be talking about a winery called Hinnant Vineyards. It is out of the Carolinas, and Brett and I discovered this little winery that's tucked away when we were traveling down to Florida this winter. Now, I know it doesn't sound like some place that would have a winery, but we discovered it. I think we were just Googling like wineries in the area. They do make a sweeter wine on premises there, but they import a lot of juices as well. And we were able to discover some really good wines that were there that were to, I think, all likings. Their menu was huge. So you can go out to their website. It's Hinnant Vineyards. I think you're going to be shocked at this beautiful setting that they have, number one. And like I said, we had a great time when we were there. The tastings are large, so just be prepared. They have good snacks that you can kind of just sit there and enjoy yourself. And it really wasn't very far into North Carolina. So for me, I thought about it as being an adventure. And I tried several different wines when I was there. The two that I'll recommend today, I'll recommend a few more at the next podcast, was their Cab Sauvignon and their Pinot Noir. Both were great reds. They had a ton of flavor. They really lingered. I think you should hop in the car, for those of you in the north, go explore their winery, get a little rest and relaxation, which leads wonderfully into the topic that we're actually going to be covering this particular month, which is reducing stress, especially as we head into the holidays. So one of the things that we know that we talk a lot about when we're talking about reducing stress is finances. So stay tuned for the rest of this podcast to dig in a little bit more. So we have started to see some research on the correlation with health, heart health, and finances. So we have one of the organizations that I belonged to previously, Physical Fitness Clubs, which our company acquired the materials from them, worked with the American Heart Association to do some additional research. The result was pretty far-reaching, actually, and it helped both our association as well as the American Heart Association understand that correlation and hopefully improve some of the heart health. It was interesting. I guess let's talk about the number one killer of Americans. So the number one cause of death in America is heart disease. Now, there are things that we humans don't, individually have control over, such as hereditary actions, but there are some semi-controllable risk factors that we do have some control over, like high blood pressure, diabetes, stress, smoking, excess use of alcohol or caffeine, drug abuse, obesity, poor nutrition, and depression, just to name a few. So let's focus on the stress element. What do you think is the number one stressor in America? Yep, you got it. It's finances. What are some of the unhealthy ways people deal with this stress? I kind of mentioned it. Caffeine, alcohol overconsumption, compulsive spending, overeating, drug abuse or use. Do these things cost money? They certainly do, and they add to the problem as well. So do you see the correlation where we're saying heart disease is caused by stress from finances, is caused by heart disease, it causes heart disease from stress? So it's this like circular action. It's the correlation. And the American Heart Association does as well. we will be continuing the work that is done with them over the years to help reduce financial stress with people and help improve their heart health. But it is a correlation. One can lead to the other, and it can become a very vicious circle. So we've put together some research, right? So just want you to think about this a little bit and how it can, your finances can help impact your health. We also have some links that we are going to be providing so that you guys can dig in a little bit deeper to the research that we're going to be quoting. But let's look at the statistic. Financial worry is raising heart attacks about 13-fold. Heart attacks correlate with stock market drops. That's just a statistic that's out there. One of the most frustrating things is that most people are delaying getting treatment for heart attack symptoms due to the fear of financial impact. So again, here's the cyclical action. People of color have a higher incidence of heart disease, and the research started looking into the reason, and a major one, financial stress and health. So prior research has showed some increase in debt is directly related to depression and marital happiness, or should I say unhappiness, which is related to divorces and separations. And all this is correlated with the more financial issues and more financial stress. Bottom line is that your finances really do impact your health. In the show notes, you will find what's called a financial stress quiz that you can take and score yourself on how high your financial stress is. It also can help you identify where the financial stress is coming from. Research has shown that if you share the financial stress with somebody like a money buddy or a friend or a coach or anything like that, the act alone will help reduce the stress. It also makes it easier to target the addressing the particular cause of the stress and awareness of when you are using bad coping strategies that will just add more stress. We know that not mastering financial tasks can result in adding stress to your life. It can be because you aren't prepared for one of those curveballs like we've thrown at you at some point in time throughout the course of this year that create a crisis type situation, or an everyday financial planning situation like a bill and looking forward to what expenses are that are coming, or whether or not you can retire or pay for your children's education or whatever it might be. Take the quiz on how you're doing on your financial tasks. This may help you identify what you should address over the next year to reduce your stress and prepare you for the future so that you can find financial peace. That's what we always talk about, is finding financial peace. So to talk about de-stressing, I think the first thing we need to do is talk about what is stress. Recognizing the types of stress you're experiencing can help identify which strategies for reducing stress can help. So there's acute stress, which is something that happens for a short period of time, but then subsides when the stressor is dealt with or eases up. It can be things such as a barely missed car accident, or a surprised high bill, or a recent argument, or a deadline. Your heart may race, the blood pressure may rise. You might be irritable, anxious, sad, have headache, back or neck pain, or gut problems. But once the stress subsides, then they tend to go away. Then you can do episodic acute stress, which that's the second kind of stress. And that is with the same symptoms, but becomes chronic and wears away at your relationship, work, and health. It means that you're living in a state of tension. And I've been there before. You probably have too. You may be taking on too much or in an overburdened phase of your life. And then there's chronic stress. Chronic stress is the grinding stress that wears us down over the years. It is frequently from serious life problems that may be beyond your control. Traumatic childhood or events may cause you to experience stress consistently. This is the hardest type of stress to control and treat. So we've shared a list of techniques for reducing financial stress and strategies over the year. It starts with finding out what's causing the stress, and then we can focus on financial stress here. We recognize that, it may not be your primary stressor, but it's one of the ways to be able to help you. So let's start with identifying the areas that are causing you stress. You can do that from both the financial stress and the tasks list survey that we will provide you in the show notes. Then determine when can, these things be changed, what can be changed immediately, or what in the short term, or what needs longer plan. Let's face it, if you're stressed because you don't have legal documents that have been completed, and you don't know where your proxies are, you don't know where your information is, that can actually be something that's potentially solved right away. But much of it, some of it may cause money. So again, there's that cycle, but it's money well spent in many cases. The idea is what I'm getting at is to prioritize those which are easy and can have a big impact. You may be stressing because you don't know how to address those issues or how much time or money it will take. The good news is that we have classes, if you haven't taken them throughout the course of the year, that will actually give you some direction and focus and help you with answering some of those questions. Once you have recognized which are the big stressors and which can easily be tackled, then it's just putting a plan in place or a date on the calendar that you're going to take care of those things. We recommend that you share that with folks because then they'll ask you, how are you getting, how are those things getting done? It's almost like an accountability idea, whether it's a financial planner, whether it's a friend, or what we call a money buddy. They will help keep you accounted as you kind of walk through the goals that you want to achieve. The bottom line is that with some effort and maybe help, you can reduce your financial stress, which will improve your health. You don't have to live with it all the time. You honestly don't. And if you find the right person to work with, it's a no judgment zone. It's just an area to give you advice. You start somewhere and you don't go back and woulda, coulda, should. One of the things that I always say to people is don't should on yourself. That's not going to get you anywhere. So it's always a forward-looking path that you should be on. It doesn't have to be chronic, remember. We've worked with people who thought they would never be able to retire and then, are forced into retirement. Now that's stress, but knowing when you could retire and what lifestyle you can live gives you a financial peace of mind, in our opinion. If it means reducing your budget and therefore your taxes and having you save more so that you can do that earlier, then again, gives you a peace of mind. So it's just knowing, it's the knowing. Often the not knowing is what causes the stress. The knowing part actually relieves it in most cases. We have included links in the show notes for articles on reducing stress and various techniques that you may find helpful for stressors, including your finances, but not just finances, some other items as well. You may want to include stress reduction in your New Year's resolutions, of course, and we certainly hope that you will have a less stressful and more peaceful new year. I know we are setting some goals. My husband and I are setting some goals, or should I say, I'm setting some goals to try to have less stress in my life in 2022. As I put it to somebody the other day, if you think about a car and a car going fast, like really, really fast, trying to get through the day, trying to get to where you need to go, at the end of the day, the car gets an opportunity to rest. And that's when we go to bed at night as well. Well, if you're constantly going 0 to 100 every single day, all the time, it's going to wear out, right? So my goal in 2022 is to go from 0 to 100 during the week. And then on the weekend, go for leisurely, pleasurely, non-work related, quote unquote, drives so that I can be my best person during the week. And I hope that you all have a very similar life focused goal in 2022. I know it's not going to come easy for me. I realize that this is going to take some work. But there, I've said it, it's out in the public at this point in time. And so in 2022, I'm sincerely hoping to reduce the amount of stress both in my life, in my team's life, and in all of your lives. We hope you have a great holiday season and
And that will about do it for today's episode of Wine and Dime. You can contact Amy through the website, www.rootedpg.com. or amy@rootedpg.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram @rootedpg for the latest news. And if you have any questions, comments, or topics you would like to hear about, feel free to let us know. And don't forget to rate and subscribe the show wherever you get your podcasts. And again, thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in next time.